Stop waiting for a breakthrough. Stop chasing instant results. What you're missing isn't more talent, more luck, or more motivation. It's the quiet power of showing up, day after day, doing the work no one sees. Every small, unnoticed action you take compounds silently, relentlessly, until one day your life is unrecognizable. Today I'm going to show you how to disappear from the noise, build in silence, and turn the tiniest steps into giant, unstoppable leaps. If you're ready to finally see results that matter, listen closely. This is how transformation really happens. Chapter 1. Action over approval. Stop proving. Start doing. Show the work, not the words. Let that sink in. That is the core principle of this chapter. You have a choice every single day: prove yourself to others or build quietly in a way that matters. One choice wastes your energy. The other builds your life. That's the key. Most people are addicted to proving themselves. They want the applause. They want the likes, the nods, the recognition. They want people to see them trying, failing, talking about their plans. They post it. They announce it. They brag about it. They hope someone will say, "Wow, you're doing great." And when they don't get that response, they panic. They quit. Or worse, they spiral. This is the trap. This is the silent thief of time, energy, and potential. You don't need their permission. You never needed it. Stop proving. Start doing. Show the work, not the words. Look at the greatest examples in any field. Warren Buffett. Quiet. Disciplined. Patient. For decades, he built silently, making choices every day that few noticed. Did he post about every investment? No. Did he announce his progress to the world? Never. He built quietly, consistently, relentlessly. And eventually the results screamed. Results always speak louder than words. Results never lie. That's the key. You want to be unstoppable? Stop proving. Start doing. Let's break this down. First, proving is about others. It's external. It's noise. Building is internal. It's control. Every time you seek approval, you give your power away. Every time you seek validation, you hand your energy to someone else. And energy is your currency. Your time is your currency. Your attention is your currency. Every minute spent proving is a minute not spent building. You have a choice. That's the key. You can spend your time performing for others, or you can spend your time silently creating, learning, improving, building. The choice is yours. Here's the truth nobody wants to tell you. Most people will never applaud you anyway. They will not see your efforts. They will not notice your growth. And that's okay. That's the point. You don't need them. You don't need their approval. You don't need their applause. What you need is discipline, consistency, focus, action. That is the only thing that matters. That is how results are created. That is how you turn small steps into giant leaps. Stop proving. Start doing. Now, what does building quietly look like in practice? Let's get concrete. Every day, commit to actions that move you forward even if no one notices. Write 1 page. Study 1 hour. Make 1 call. Take 1 step toward mastery. Do it. Do it every day. Repeat. Show the work. Don't tell anyone. Don't post about it. Don't justify it. Don't wait for praise. The power is in the repetition. The power is in the unseen effort. That's the key. Here's another truth. You will feel invisible. You will feel like no one is watching. You will feel like it doesn't matter. That is a test. That is exactly where the transformation happens. Feeling invisible is not a problem. It's proof that you are doing the work that counts. Most people quit when no one notices. Most people give up when their effort feels invisible. But you push forward. You build quietly. You win silently. That's the key. Stop proving. Start doing. Let's look at examples outside finance. Elon Musk. He worked obsessively on Tesla and SpaceX for years. Did anyone see the 100-hour weeks? Did anyone see the countless prototypes? Did anyone see the failures? No. Only the results eventually spoke for themselves. Jeff Bezos, Steve Jobs, Serena Williams, Michael Jordan. All of them built quietly, relentlessly, consistently. They didn't need validation. They didn't need applause. They needed one thing: results. That is your standard. That is your standard. Stop proving. Start doing. Here's what you do step by step. Identify your work that matters. Not the flashy, not the performative, not the showy. The work that builds real skill. Schedule it daily. Every day, no excuses. 30 minutes, 1 hour, 2 hours, whatever you can manage, but do it consistently. Repetition is the key. Ignore applause. Focus on the action, not the recognition. Ignore likes. Ignore comments. Ignore approval. That is the silent power. Measure results, not attention. Look at what you've built, what you've mastered, what you've accomplished. Let the outcomes speak for themselves. That is your validation. That is your proof. And here's the subtle, transformative point most people miss. When you stop proving and start doing, momentum builds. Invisible effort compounds. Skills grow. Confidence grows. Discipline grows. Opportunities start to appear. People start to notice, not because you shouted, not because you bragged, but because results are undeniable. That's the key. Stop proving. Start doing. Build silently. Build consistently. Build relentlessly. Now don't get confused. This does not mean you isolate yourself. This does not mean you hide forever. This means your primary focus is on the work, not the applause. The world will notice when it must. The world will notice when the results demand attention. Until then, disappear. Build. Repeat. That is the path. You have a choice. You always have a choice. Every day you can choose performance over progress, noise over work. Or you can choose the quiet path, the one that leads to transformation. That is the key. You have a choice. Choose wisely. Repetition reinforces mastery. Repeat after me, stop proving. Start doing. Show the work, not the words. Stop proving. Start doing. Show the work, not the words. Feel it. Own it. Live it. Every small action, every daily step, is an investment in your future. Invisible now, unstoppable later. That is the law of silent effort. That is the law of building. That is the law you must follow. Finally, as this chapter closes, understand this. Showing up is everything. Consistency is everything. Discipline is everything. If you are worried about recognition, approval, applause, you are focusing on the wrong thing. Focus on what you can control. Focus on the effort. Focus on the daily work. That is where transformation happens. That is where life-changing momentum begins. That is the path from small steps to giant leaps. Stop proving. Start doing. Show the work, not the words. You mastered your need for external validation. You've learned to show up quietly, every day, no matter who's watching. Now, let's talk about the true currency of your life, your attention, your energy, and your time. Chapter 2. The silent cost of seeking validation. Every like you chase is a step away from real achievement. Let that sink in. Every time you look for approval, you're giving your power away. Every time you perform for attention, you're taking steps backward from your potential. You have a choice. You always have a choice. You can either spend your energy performing for others, or you can invest it in producing results that matter. That is the silent cost of seeking validation. That is the hidden tax on your time, your energy, and your future. Most people don't see it. Most people are addicted to approval. Social media didn't create this problem. It amplified it. Likes, comments, shares, notifications. Every ping pulls your attention. Every scroll distracts you. Every public post becomes a performance. You start doing things to be seen. You start acting for applause. You measure your worth by the reactions of strangers instead of the quality of your work. That's the trap. That's the silent cost. And you don't need it. You don't need their approval. You don't need their applause. You need results. You need progress. You need action. Think about it. Millions of people scroll endlessly, posting their highlights, their opinions, their curated lives, hoping for a reaction. And what happens? Most of them never produce anything of value. Most of them spend decades seeking validation, consuming attention, but not creating. They are busy being seen, not being effective, not building. That's the key difference. You have a choice. You have a choice to break the cycle. Every like you chase is a step away from real achievement. Every comment you hope for is a distraction from mastery. Every performance for attention is a detour from growth. That's the key. Let's make this personal. How much time have you spent proving yourself this week? How much time have you posted updates, crafted messages, sought applause, or compared yourself to others online? Each moment spent seeking validation is energy stolen from your potential. Each moment spent performing is a moment not spent producing. Every second you live for recognition is a second lost in creating results that matter. That's the silent cost. That's the invisible price. You have a choice. You can waste it or you can invest it. That is the key. Here's a truth most people never hear. Validation is fleeting. Attention is temporary. Approval is inconsistent. The world will never give you consistent recognition for the things that matter most. It won't. That's reality. And that's exactly why you must stop depending on it. You don't need it. You don't need anyone's applause. You don't need anyone's affirmation to succeed. The only validation that matters is results. The only applause that matters is progress. The only recognition that matters is your own mastery. Every like you chase is a step away from real achievement. Repeat it. Say it out loud. Feel it. Internalize it. Here's how seeking validation manifests in life. You overthink every action. You hesitate to take risks. You choose safety over impact. You filter yourself through the lens of how others will perceive you. You shrink instead of building. You perform instead of producing. You play for applause instead of impact. That is the silent cost. And it's expensive. Every day spent performing is a day lost in quiet, focused growth. That is the price of seeking approval. That is the cost. You have a choice. You can pay it or you can refuse it. That's the key. Now let's flip it. What does it look like to escape this trap? To stop seeking validation? To reclaim your energy and focus entirely on building? It starts with a simple rule. Ignore the applause. Every day create in private. Build in silence. Take the action that matters most without telling anyone. Don't post about it. Don't announce it. Don't expect praise. Do the work. Show up. Repeat. 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 That's the power. That's the transformation. Every micro-action compounds. Every silent step builds momentum. Every private victory strengthens you. That is the key. Look at real-world examples. Authors who write daily without publishing anything for years. Athletes who train alone before a single win. Entrepreneurs who build startups quietly before the world notices. They don't wait for validation. They don't seek applause. They show up. They do the work. They invest in themselves. And when the results finally emerge, the world takes notice. That's the power of ignoring validation. That's the result of focusing on production, not performance. That is what separates the quiet achievers from the distracted performers. That is the key. Here's what you do. Audit your energy. Track where your attention goes. How much is spent seeking approval? How much is spent producing? Awareness is the first step. Set boundaries. Limit social media. Avoid unnecessary comparisons. Stop announcing every small effort. Protect your focus. Protect your momentum. Invest in action. Replace performance with production. Every day choose action that builds results regardless of who sees it. Every day choose work over applause. Every day choose impact over recognition. That's the key. Repetition is your tool. Every time you feel the urge to perform, remind yourself, every like you chase is a step away from real achievement. Say it again, every like you chase is a step away from real achievement. Let it guide your decisions. Let it control your energy. Let it dictate your focus. Stop performing. Start producing. Stop proving. Start doing. Show the work, not the words. That is the silent power. That is the transformation. That is the unseen path to giant leaps. And here's the secret. When you stop seeking validation, life gets simpler. Decisions get easier. Energy multiplies. Focus sharpens. Productivity skyrockets. You no longer care about what others think. You no longer rely on applause. You no longer waste energy on distractions. You have full control, full freedom, full agency. That is the silent advantage. That is the hidden power. That is why those who stop seeking validation always rise faster than those who chase attention. That is the key. Finally, remember this: validation is temporary. Attention is fleeting. Recognition is optional. But results are permanent. Growth is unstoppable. Mastery is undeniable. Every day ask yourself, am I producing or am I performing? Am I building or am I proving? You have a choice. You always have a choice. Choose production. Choose results. Choose transformation. Ignore the applause. Build silently. That is the path from small steps to giant leaps. Every you chase is a step away from real achievement. Every moment spent performing is a moment lost in mastery. You have a choice. Choose wisely. You've learned the silent cost. You've learned how attention steals your energy. Now, let's talk about how invisible wins compound over time and how small, daily actions multiply into life-changing results. Chapter 3: Invisible Wins Compound. Invisible wins, visible results. Invisible wins, visible results. Repeat it. Feel it. Let it guide your actions. That is the principle that separates those who drift through life from those who achieve extraordinary results. Every small, unnoticed action you take compounds. Every micro step, every tiny improvement builds momentum. And over time, that momentum becomes unstoppable. That's the key. Most people underestimate the power of small wins. They look for instant breakthroughs, sudden success, overnight transformations. They want a magic moment. They want recognition. They want applause. And when it doesn't come immediately, they quit. They give up. They assume the effort isn't working. That's the trap. That's why most people never achieve greatness. Real growth doesn't happen in explosions. It happens in accumulation. Invisible wins compound. Visible results follow. That's the key. Let's make this concrete. Imagine improving just 1% every single day. 1%. It seems tiny, insignificant, almost meaningless. But 1% daily improvement compounds to 37 times growth over a year. 37 times. That is the power of invisible wins. That is why showing up consistently, even when no one notices, is more important than rare bursts of brilliance. Momentum is not built in grand gestures. Momentum is built in repetition, discipline, and persistence. Invisible wins, visible results. Invisible wins, visible results. Repeat it. Own it. Live it. Look at real-world examples. Warren Buffett didn't make all his money in one day. He invested consistently, patiently, silently over decades. Michael Jordan didn't become the greatest in one season. He practiced relentlessly in ways nobody watched for years. Elon Musk didn't build Tesla overnight. He iterated, experimented, and persisted step by step quietly. The difference between these high achievers and the rest is not talent. It's accumulation. It's invisible wins. It's repeated, unnoticed effort. That's the key. Here's a truth. Progress is invisible until it's undeniable. You won't notice the compounding at first. You won't see immediate results. You won't feel the change. That is normal. That is how growth works. And that is why most people quit too early. They give up when effort feels invisible. They abandon the process because they can't see immediate results. Don't make that mistake. You have a choice. Keep showing up. Keep building quietly. Keep stacking the wins. Invisible wins, visible results. That's the law. That's the principle. That's the secret that most people ignore. Now, what does compounding look like in daily life? It's small. It's consistent. It's boring. It's deliberate. Writing 300 words per day turns into a book in a year. Exercising 15 minutes per day transforms your health in months. Saving a small amount of money regularly creates financial freedom over time. Learning one new skill every week builds mastery in months. These are invisible wins. No one cheers. No one notices. And yet, they lead to visible results that are undeniable. Invisible wins, visible results. Repeat it. Repeat it. Live it. Build it. Here's the critical point. Repetition is your superpower. Discipline is your leverage. Consistency is your advantage. Every day, every small choice, every tiny effort compounds. Every invisible win multiplies. Every step forward, even if unnoticed, moves you closer to transformation. That is the silent law of success. That is how small steps turn into giant leaps. That is the key. You have a choice. You can give up after a day, a week, or a month. Or you can persist, keep stacking invisible wins, and watch the results explode over time. That is the difference between ordinary and extraordinary. Let's talk about mindset. You must learn to value invisible wins. You must learn to love the process. You must find satisfaction in showing up consistently, regardless of recognition. Don't chase applause. Don't chase shortcuts. Don't chase results you can't see yet. Focus on the accumulation of effort. Focus on the invisible wins. Repetition is mastery. Repetition is transformation. Repetition is compounding. Invisible wins, visible results. Invisible wins, visible results. Let it echo in your mind every time you perform a small, unnoticed action. That is the key. And here's another layer. Invisible wins create confidence. They build momentum. They reinforce discipline. Each micro-action strengthens your ability to take the next step. Each repeated success, even small, reinforces your belief in yourself. This is how momentum grows. This is how unstoppable people become unstoppable. They don't rely on sudden inspiration. They rely on compounding effort. They rely on invisible wins. They rely on the law of accumulation. That's the key. Now let's be practical. How do you apply this principle today? Start small. Identify a single action that will compound over time. Write, read, study, practice, train, create. Do it every day. No excuses. No exceptions. Track it, but don't publicize it. Focus on the process. Focus on the accumulation. Focus on the invisible wins. Let them compound. Let them grow. Let them turn into visible results. Repeat it. Repeat it. Repeat it. Invisible wins, visible results. Invisible wins, visible results. That is the law of compounding in life, in work, in mastery. Here's the critical warning. Impatience is your enemy. The desire for instant results kills momentum. The need for recognition derails consistency. The addiction to applause destroys compounding. If you want visible results, you must embrace the invisible effort. You must fall in love with the quiet, daily actions that no one notices. That is the secret. That is the transformation. That is how small steps turn into giant leaps. Invisible wins, visible results. Invisible wins, visible results. Let it guide every choice. Let it guide every decision. Let it guide every action. That's the key. Finally, as this chapter closes, remember this. You are building a foundation. Every unseen effort is a brick. Every daily repetition is cement. Every quiet improvement strengthens the structure. And one day, when you least expect it, the foundation will support results you never imagined. You will look back and realize, all those invisible wins, all those unnoticed actions, all that consistent effort, they added up. They multiplied. They transformed your life. Invisible wins, visible results. You have a choice. Keep building. Keep stacking. Keep compounding. That is your path to giant leaps. You've learned the principle of accumulation. You've learned the power of quiet, repeated effort. Now, let's explore how to stop relying on goals and instead create systems that guarantee daily progress. Chapter 4. Build systems, not goals. Forget the goal. Build the system. Repeat. Persist. Improve. Say it again. Let it guide your every action. That is the principle of this chapter. Most people fail because they chase goals without building the habits, routines, and systems that actually create results. Goals can fail. Systems cannot. Systems ensure daily progress, no matter the circumstances. That's the key. Let's be clear. A goal is just a destination. It's a number, a title, a benchmark. But the road to that goal? That's where most people stumble. They plan for the goal. They hope for the outcome. They visualize success. But they ignore the process. They ignore the repetition. They ignore the small actions that compound into results. That is why most goals fail. That is why most people give up halfway. You don't need more goals. You need better systems. Forget the goal. Build the system. Repeat. Persist. Improve. That's the law. James Clear, the author of Atomic Habits, explains it perfectly. Focus on your routines, not the outcome. A goal of losing 20 pounds is worthless if you don't have the daily habit of moving, eating right, and tracking progress. A goal of writing a book means nothing if you don't write a single word every day. A goal of financial freedom is meaningless without the system of saving, investing, and building skills. Results are a natural byproduct of systems. That is the key. You don't chase results. You create the environment and habits that make results inevitable. Forget the goal. Build the system. Repeat. Persist. Improve. Repeat it. Internalize it. Live it. Here's the truth most people ignore. You cannot rely on motivation alone. Motivation is fleeting. Inspiration is unreliable. Goals are external. Systems are internal. Systems give you control, direction, and consistency. They remove excuses. They remove randomness. They remove chaos. When you build the system, progress happens whether you feel like it or not. That is the power. That is the advantage. That is how small, consistent actions turn into giant leaps. Forget the goal. Build the system. Repeat. Persist. Improve. That's the mantra. That's the law. Now let's break it down. What does building a system look like? Step 1. Identify the core actions that will produce the outcome you want. Not the outcome itself, just the actions. If you want to get fit, the core actions are exercise and nutrition. If you want to write a book, the core actions are writing consistently and editing consistently. If you want financial freedom, the core actions are earning, saving, and investing. Focus on the actions. Build habits around them. Automate them. Make them non-negotiable. Forget the goal. Build the system. Repeat. Persist. Improve. Step 2. Create structure. Decide when, where, and how you will execute your actions. Write it down. Track it. Measure it. Make it visible. Make it part of your identity. When the system becomes a part of who you are, results follow naturally. Motivation isn't required. Inspiration isn't required. You act because it's who you are. You act because the system demands it. Forget the goal. Build the system. Repeat. Persist. Improve. That's the key. Step 3. Optimize incrementally. Systems are not static. They grow, adapt, and improve over time. Each iteration, each tweak, each improvement compounds. You will fail. You will stumble. You will hit obstacles. That's normal. That's expected. But if your system is strong, you recover. You adjust. You refine. You persist. And progress continues. Forget the goal. Build the system. Repeat. Persist. Improve. That is the path to mastery. That is the path to transformation. That is the key. Here's a real-world example. Look at professional athletes. They don't set a single goal to win the championship and then hope it happens. They focus on systems. Daily practice, recovery, diet, mental training, repetition. Every day they show up. Every day they execute the system. The championship is simply the visible result of a system executed flawlessly over time. That's how winners are made. Forget the goal. Build the system. Repeat. Persist. Improve. Repeat it. Repeat it. Internalize it. Here's another truth. Systems remove anxiety and decision fatigue. Goals create pressure. Goals create stress. Goals create doubt. Systems create certainty. Systems create structure. Systems create clarity. You don't worry about whether you're motivated. You don't debate what to do each day. You follow the system. Action happens automatically. Progress happens naturally. Results appear as a byproduct. That is the silent advantage of building systems. Forget the goal. Build the system. Repeat. Persist. Improve. That's the law. Now, how do you apply this today? Start with one area of your life. Pick one outcome you care about. Ignore the number. Ignore the reward. Ignore the applause. Identify the key actions that produce that outcome. Build a system around them. Commit to showing up daily. Track it. Repeat it. refine it, optimize it. Let the system do the work. Let momentum build. Let results follow naturally. Forget the goal. Build the system. Repeat, persist, improve. That is your path to transformation. That is your path to unstoppable growth. That is the key. Remember, you have a choice. You can chase goals and live a life of frustration, distraction, and inconsistency. Or you can build systems and live a life of steady, unstoppable progress. The choice is yours. You don't need anyone's approval. You don't need a shortcut. You don't need to wait for inspiration. You need one thing, a system. Build it. Show up. Repeat. Persist. Improve. That is the silent power of consistent action. That is the secret of extraordinary results. That is the law of invisible wins compounding into visible results. Forget the goal. Build the system. Repeat. Persist. Improve. Finally, as this chapter closes, understand this. Results are inevitable when you follow the system. Stop relying on goals as the driver of action. Stop chasing outcomes. Focus on the daily practice, the repeated habits, the invisible wins embedded in your system. That is the transformation. That is the growth. That is the difference between ordinary people and extraordinary achievers. Forget the goal. Build the system. Repeat. Persist. Improve. You have the power. You have the choice. Use it. Now that you understand the power of systems, it's time to discuss endurance, resilience, and how to outlast everyone quietly. Chapter 5. Outlast everyone quietly. Outlast, don't outshine. Outlast, don't outshine. Repeat it. Let it sink in. That is the principle of this chapter. Success is not about flashes of brilliance. It is not about showing off. It is not about winning the applause or grabbing the spotlight. Success favors endurance over brilliance. Those who persist, those who endure, those who show up quietly every day, these are the people who win in the long run. That's the key. Most people get distracted by short-term recognition. They chase the spotlight. They want instant success. They want to be noticed. And when they fail to achieve it immediately, they quit. They burn out. They disappear. That's why most people never reach their potential. Endurance is underrated. Patience is overlooked. Quiet persistence is ignored. Outlast, don't outshine. Outlast, don't outshine. Say it again. Let it echo in your mind every time you feel like giving up. That's the key. Look at marathon runners. The race isn't won in the first mile. The finish line isn't crossed in the first sprint. Every step, every stride, every heartbeat matters. Every day of training, every early morning, every repetition builds endurance. And those who endure, who maintain consistency, who push past fatigue, who ignore the applause, they reach the finish line. They win. Ordinary runners may shine for a moment, sprint ahead, then burn out. But the quiet, consistent runner endures. That is the principle. Outlast, don't outshine. Outlast, don't outshine. Repeat it. Internalize it. Live it. Now look at entrepreneurs. The overnight success story is a myth. Every successful business, every empire, every innovation was built by people who endured. They failed repeatedly. They made mistakes. They were ignored. They were doubted. And yet they persisted. They learned. They adapted. They worked quietly, steadily, relentlessly. Over months, years, decades, their endurance created results that others could not even imagine. That is the lesson. Outlast, don't outshine. Outlast, don't outshine. Say it again. Here's a truth most people miss. Endurance compounds like interest. Each day you persist, each action you take quietly adds up. Invisible wins stack. Momentum builds. Small steps, repeated daily, eventually create unstoppable force. Those who quit early never see it. Those who shine brightly for a moment but fade too soon never experience it. You must endure. You must persist. You must show up every day even when no one is watching. Outlast, don't outshine. Outlast, don't outshine. That's the law. That's the principle. That's the key. Let's get practical. How do you outlast everyone quietly? First, focus on consistency over brilliance. You do not need to be flashy. You do not need to impress. You do not need to perform for attention. You need to show up. You need to do the work. You need to endure. Every day, every week, every month, every year, the results will come. They always do. Outlast, don't outshine. Outlast, don't outshine. Repeat it. Repeat it. Live it. Build it. Second, embrace patience. Patience is the hidden superpower of winners. The world rewards those who endure, not those who seek instant gratification. The quiet person who keeps building day after day, week after week, month after month, eventually achieves what others can only dream of. Endurance is invisible at first. It feels slow. It feels unrewarding. That is normal. That is the test. That is how champions are made. Outlast, don't outshine. Outlast, don't outshine. That's the key. Third, ignore distractions and applause. The world will try to steal your focus. People will tell you to shine, to show off, to perform. Social media, peers, and culture reward short-term spectacle over long-term results. Ignore it. Build quietly. Persist relentlessly. Take small steps consistently. Each day matters. Every repeated action compounds. Momentum grows. And eventually results are undeniable. Outlast, don't outshine. Outlast, don't outshine. Repeat it. Let it guide your every decision. That is the principle of unstoppable growth. Here's an example. Look at long-term entrepreneurs. Jeff Bezos didn't chase short-term hype. Elon Musk didn't rely on flashy headlines. They endured setbacks, criticism, failures, and challenges. They worked quietly, relentlessly, consistently. They built systems, refined their craft, improved every day, and never quit. And eventually, their results dwarfed the spectacle of others who burned brightly but briefly. That is the law. That is the principle. Outlast, don't outshine. Outlast, don't outshine. Repeat it. Let it guide your life. Now, this principle applies to every area of your life. Fitness, skills, learning, relationships, finances, your career, your personal development. The people who endure quietly, who invest in themselves daily, who persist even when no one notices, are the ones who achieve extraordinary results. Brilliance alone is fleeting. Recognition alone is temporary. Endurance is permanent. Persistence is unstoppable. That's the key. Outlast, don't outshine. Outlast, don't outshine. Repeat it. Internalize it. Live it. Here's the critical step. Commit to daily action. Decide that no matter how small, no matter how unseen, you will take one step forward every single day. Track it. Repeat it. Persist. Improve. This is how momentum compounds. This is how invisible wins accumulate. This is how small steps become giant leaps. You have a choice. You can quit. You can burn out. Or you can endure. You can persist. You can outlast everyone quietly. That is the key. Outlast, don't outshine. Outlast, don't outshine. Finally, as this final chapter closes, understand this. The world will not hand you success. Recognition is not guaranteed. Applause is fleeting. Results come to those who endure. Results come to those who persist. Results come to those who quietly, relentlessly, consistently show up every single day, no matter who is watching. Outlast, don't outshine. Outlast, don't outshine. Repeat it. Live it. Own it. This is your path to transformation. This is your path to giant leaps. This is how invisible wins turn into unstoppable momentum. You've reached the end of this audiobook. You now have the tools, the mindset, and the principles to disappear from the noise, build quietly, and turn small, consistent steps into giant life-changing results. It's your choice. Act on it. Persist. Endure. Build systems. Compound your wins. Outlast everyone quietly. If you're ready to take this journey, don't stop here. Subscribe to this channel for more transformative content like this, and make sure to hit the notification bell so you never miss a lesson. Remember, you have a choice. Endure. Persist. Build. Transform. Outlast, don't outshine. Outlast, don't outshine.